Hi everybody, I want you to picture something with me. You're going to your friend's childhood home for the very first time. You walk in the door and you see pictures of them all along the walls at all different ages. You can see their past and how they became the person that you know today. However, their parents likely didn't frame any of the messy, darker parts of their life story. And that's okay. Many of the things we love are this way. They have stories that are not perfectly glamorous. Which brings me to the Volkswagen Beetle. This wacky personality of a car has a shockingly dark history that you may not know. So, my name is Anna Horn, and I'm going to walk you through the Beetle's house, except this time I've framed every picture. Now, before we get started, I want to preface by saying this is not going to be a boring history lesson. This is a story of redemption and popular culture that can be inspiring if you let it. I should know, because aside from my research, I actually own a Volkswagen Beetle. It was my very first car, and I still drive it to this day. With all the joy it's brought me, I thought it deserved my dedication to thoroughly explain its story. The Volkswagen Beetle is a unique car with origins in Nazi Germany that through strategic marketing hit its peak of popularity in the United States of America before being discontinued in 2019. We can break this story down into three pieces: the birth of the Beetle, its peak of popularity, and the death of the Beetle. So let's begin our journey starting in Nazi Germany. The Volkswagen Beetle was initially created as part of a Nazi scheme to covertly create weapons. Hitler rose to power in 1933, in the middle of the Great Depression. He wanted to revive the German economy and boost the military's power. However, according to historian Guy Walters from a Timeline documentary, under the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, Germany is not allowed to be building new weapons. So you've got many machines that look like they're for civilians, but really they're for military usage. That's what he wanted to do with the Volkswagen. He wanted to covertly create weapons. So he had his friend Ferdinand Porsche, yes, that Porsche, design the Volkswagen Beetle in 1938. He named it the Kraft durch Freudwagen, meaning the strength through joy car. Historian Martin Morgan notes that one of the original requirements of this Beetle was it had to be capable of supporting a machine gun in the bonnet. Not so cute. If that wasn't sinister enough, Hitler also used the car as part of a payment plan scheme to con the German people of their money. Now, flash forward to the end of World War II. Hitler is defeated, and Germany is war-torn. According to the Volkswagen newsroom, in 1945, the British took over the Volkswagen factory. In 1947, they hired Heinz Nordhoff, a German manager, to oversee the revival of the factory and its production of Volkswagens. Now, he did something tremendous for the Beetle with one key decision. The Volkswagen slowly gained admiration and hit its peak of popularity in the United States of America. In 1949, Volkswagen sent the Beetle to the US under Nordhoff's direction because demand for the car in post-war Germany was low. According to Bernhard Reiger, a professor at the University of Leiden, by 1955, Volkswagen was selling more vehicles abroad than it was at home, with the United States as its most important market. Now, the Beetle really started gaining traction when Volkswagen hired the advertising agency Doyle Dane Bernbach in 1959. Reiger notes this agency developed the Beetle's reputation as a small, reliable, and unconventional vehicle, while also encouraging historical amnesia about its questionable origins. You can see this in the iconic Think Small advertisement. Adding to the DDB's efforts was the countercultural movement of the 60s and 70s. Yeah, I'm talking hippies, okay? They loved this car because it was cheap, reliable, unique, and it celebrated foreign cultures. Disney's The Love Bug film arrived in 1969 to really capitalize on the car's popularity of the time. Reiger notes, though, that after its peak in the late 60s, Beetle sales took a drop in the 70s, despite America's affection for the car. This was due to rising safety and quality concerns. So production on the original Beetle ended in 1980, until Volkswagen announced the new Beetle in 1998. Although they attempted to use nostalgia as fuel for their new Beetle, the design began its downfall in the year 2000. After the turn of the century, the Volkswagen Beetle sales declined until production of the car ended in 2019. As you can see in this chart from ABC News 27, there's a steep decline in Volkswagen sales around the turn of the century, the year 2000. You can also see some of the points we've covered so far, such as the Beetle coming to America in 1949, the hiring of the DDB advertising agency in 1959, way up there is the counterculture movement, with the very top being the Love Bug in 69, and then a steep decline in the 2000s. So you may be wondering, why did the Beetle lose sales at the turn of the century? Well, nostalgia only lasts so long. People naturally just start to lose interest. Additionally, there were a few scandals that really put the nail in the Beetle's coffin. In 2013, Volkswagen released a Super Bowl commercial where Dave up here, a white Midwestern man, spoke in a mimic of Jamaican Creole. Researchers from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and the University of Texas, Austin, analyzed people's reactions to the ad and found that Americans, especially people of color, viewed the ad as racist and offensive. Also in that same year, unfortunately, Volkswagen was investigated by the Environmental Protection Agency. And according to Professor Codruta of the University of Petroșani in Romania, found to have been using coding software to cheat on emissions testing on certain models, including the Beetle. Now, when the CEO of Volkswagen apologized on September 15th, 2015, Volkswagen shares fell by 20% by the next business day. So with these scandals and general loss of interest, it was no surprise that on September 13th, 2018, Volkswagen announced the end of the Beetle in 2019. When asked in an interview with Business Insider, is this really the end of the Beetle? Scott Keogh, the Volkswagen America CEO at the time, said, with the Beetle, never say never. We're certainly going to keep its soul alive. Never say never. These words perfectly capture the Volkswagen Beetle's story. After all, it's one of redemption. As we've walked through the house of the Beetle, we've seen a lot of interesting photos, if you will. The Beetle started with a Nazi scheme in the late 1930s to covertly build weapons. After the war, the British took over the factory and hired Heinz Nordhoff, who sent the Beetle to America, where the DDB advertising agency marketed it to the American people. It hit its peak of popularity in the 60s and 70s, with the Love Bug film being the top of that peak. Then we had the new Beetle of 1998, which didn't last long because at the turn of the century, Volkswagen Beetle sales once again dropped. Then there was the Super Bowl scandal in 2013 and the emissions scandal of 2013, leading to the Beetle's demise in 2019. Now, despite the Beetle's discontinuation, it's still thought of fondly. So now that you know the Beetle's story, I want you to smile a little bit more when you see one driving around, or someone driving that car around, because I don't think they drive themselves anymore. Not in the movie, unfortunately. But next time you see that car, just know that tiny, silly little bug serves as a reminder that redemption is always possible. Everyone deserves a second chance. Never say never. Thank you.